Hey everybody, Jared Jones. If you are joining us, we're going to talk about a New York Times article that spotlights what's going on with housing. Today, we're going to talk about when's the market going to turn. Is there a crash coming? Isn't the crash coming soon? And the reality is, if you are trying to get into the real estate market, or you are working in the real estate market, you know and you realize that there's a massive amount of a dogfight to get in the business from the aspect of trying to buy a home. There's multiple offers on everything. Yeah. Feels very much like 2003, 2004, where there was just high aggressive, homes sold before the signs in the yard, and you hear all the tales of folks that are just emotionally battered, from the real estate agents to the buyers and everybody in between. So there's some interesting changes that are coming this year, massive. In fact, this month, with forbearance, delinquencies, the rental market, and there's some really interesting trends that are actually shaping right now that point to changes coming very soon, okay? And so today I'm joined by Josue Marizalde.
Hey everybody.
How many years have you been in real estate?
5.
5-year real estate agent. All right, so you're an expert.
Pretty much, yeah.
A seasoned professional.
Yeah, and I just got married, so I'm an expert in marriage too. So.
Oh, I got it. I see the tie-in. Hopefully there was more time into getting married than there was to get a real estate
Right. Process. Oh yeah, 63 hours.
It's not too tough. All right, so the main topic for today, the New York Times recently did an article in the last week saying what I think everybody's asking, which is, where has all the housing gone? Where is the inventory, and when's it going to change? And so, kind of to kick things off, it doesn't matter what market you're in throughout the United States. I think even markets that were urban centers, those that were shuttered early because of people just not wanting to live in congested cities. New York is already back in action, setting records. So everybody is experiencing the same thing no matter where they are, but there's just no inventory. And Benjamin Keys was cited in an article with the New York Times. Benjamin Keys is an economist with Wharton Business School. And he said, who wants to sell a house in the middle of a pandemic? So the number one point he made was there's hesitancy to sell a home in a pandemic. And that's true, okay? He also talks about the fact that who owns the homes? Those that might be particularly prone to the consequence of getting sick, being more concerned of people being in their home, which is true. I think we're in Florida. There's probably less fear. I think most people would say we treated our interfacing with this pandemic has been different, yet we're still supply constrained, and arguably for the similar reasons. So we would say that that's actually true. But he's saying that the other factors in the pandemic are the political interventions, okay? So now you've got government-backed loans that had mortgage forbearance during the pandemic. There's nearly 3 million homes that still fit that category of being protected by pandemic measures, okay? So those are already starting to come due, meaning they're expiring. Those are now instances where you might have episodes of people and then the question becomes, people coming back to the market, which we're going to discuss today, how big of an impact could the forbearance piece be? So if people, for instance, are coming back from it, meaning, and by the way, the projections is there's close to 1 million homes that are coming out of pandemic forbearance measures in the next 2 months. So we're talking about that and how big of an impact that is. So the Biden effect has become a part of and even Trump, and it's not we don't want any cat fights on social media over this, but this is a reality. The government has actually stymied a lot of the processing of real estate from people that just have trouble financially, they can't afford the house. So will that create a domino effect? And then there's just going to be some interesting things that I think we need to talk about with relation to the whole buying a home right now versus renting. That equation's changing. So me and Josue have some different viewpoints that we're going to talk about on that. But let's start with this, okay? What is a normal economy? So if we can say right now, think about this. Last year, according to the National Association of Realtors, through March, April, May, June, there were around 1.4 million homes in the supply chain of inventory. if you go onto the Federal Reserve site, which by the way, Federal Reserve, the Fred graphing, they're now tracking housing inventory, which is kind of cool. But we're right around 1 million homes now on the entire inventory. So again, 1.4 last year, which was I think 3 to 4 months worth of inventory. Now we are under right around 1 million. Okay, and we sell a little over 300,000 homes a month. Okay, so essentially, it depends. Depending on the rate of homes we're selling, it's actually high 300,000. It's almost 400,000 homes. So we're right at a 2-month supply. Sometimes the inventory marker has been dropping to like 1.8, 1.9 months of supply across the U.S. So we're moving on the U.S., especially as we go into spring market, anywhere from 300,000 to 500,000 homes a month. We're very, very low. It was low last year, and it just plummeted towards the end of the year. So the question becomes, what is a normal market? Okay, because if we know that we're in a marketplace that has literally a month and a half, 2 months worth of inventory nationwide, and we know that the outside effect of that is the homes are flying off the shelf, and no one can, it's like musical chairs with 10 people and 3 seats, and it's not really that fun. Right? I'm watching on the some of the social media real estate groups I'm following. I saw a lot of the posts that are going on with people that are pulling their hair out trying to work in this inventory, in this low inventory market.
Yeah.
And they're saying like, "Hey, agents, how are you practicing self-care?" And the gifts that were being posted, like these people that are drunk walking around staggering because they're saying like it's not a fun. So a lot of people ask me like, "Oh, the market's good, right? The market's good." I'm like, "Yes, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. You can take from that what you want,
right.
Because it is equivocal to any other shortage. Okay, it is a supply shortage. It is the toilet paper aisle." This way,
right?
From last year,
Then
the shelves are bare. Okay, So the question becomes like, what is a normal market? And so, like, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, it's kind of crazy. We've kind of gotten used to an abnormal market because last year, the average, and we have the numbers here. We can put up the average number of months of supply last year was 3 months of supply. Now, a balanced market is 6 months of supply. For sellers relative to buyers, how many months will it take for all the buyers in the market to eat up the homes for sale? That number is 6 for it to be in a balanced market. Anything less is a buyer's market. Anything less is a seller's market because there are less homes for sale, right? And then anything more is a buyer's market. We are right now at an all-time low.
Right.
All-time low. It's crazy. So we're kind of used to this fast-paced market. We're used to, because we're in a recovery, just home prices rising like crazy. But it is going to balance off. That's really what I think. And we can talk about the forbearances and people moving after election year, things like that. But I don't think there's going to be a crash coming. That's why me and my wife are looking to buy right now, right? So making a long-term investment in the market right now.
Sure.
I think the market's going to keep rising, and it's still a good time to buy because of interest rates still relatively low.
I think there's dangers of a crash coming.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I would say like, and I also think that there's danger of a market swing, and there's danger of crash in specific marketplaces. Let's put it that way. I think each marketplace in a modern world, and we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
But what you said is according to the National Association of Realtors, the economist with the Realtors Board, Lawrence Yun, says that 6 months is what we call a balanced market.
Right.
6 months is not too heavily favored to the buyer, it's not too heavily favored to the seller, and so here's the point. Okay. If we're now hovering around 2 months of supply, then we're going to need 1.2 million more homes to get to a 6-month market. So one would say to yourself, how many homes do we need? How deficient are we in available supply for this price run up, this crazy frenzy of bidding wars and everything else in order to stabilize? And it's 1.2 million properties nationwide. Okay, so that leads us to the question of what impacts does the market have coming for itself right now?
Right.
So here's another thing. Here's the other underlying concerns. Okay, because there's a whole lot of concern still for the job market, right? There's a whole lot of people outside of Janet Yellen, the Federal Reserve cheerleader, that says, oh, we're doing fine with the jobs. And everybody's like, well, I don't know how you're doing that, because there's a whole lot of small businesses still shuttered, and there's a whole lot of people that are still struggling to find work. So there's this concern, right, that all these forbearances, which again, there's 2.6 million, 2.6 million in forbearance, no mortgage. And get this, in the next 2 months, 1 million of those are ending forbearance. That means the protection that they had preventing them from having to pay their mortgage is coming out of the market. 600,000 in March, 400,000 homeowners next month. Remember, we're 1.2 million away from a 6-month market, okay? Now, again, the question becomes, is everybody in trouble that's in forbearance, okay? They had a reason to, in some cases, qualify for being in trouble. Does the reasons that led them into a forbearance situation still persist?
Yeah. And can I touch on that?
Please.
Yeah. So I got a chart here, and it actually gives a kind of deep dive into where these people are at. So overall, I think we had about 5 million total, a little over 5 million homeowners go into forbearance. So it's a big, big concern. Where are all these homeowners going to actually end up at? Well, we have the numbers now where we're at currently. 51.7 of all of the owners that went into forbearance are actually caught up on their payments right now, right? So we have still a 48% of all forbearances right now are not caught up. But out of those 48.3%, actually 33% of those have either a loan deferral or they're making up their payments chunk by chunk, right? So those guys aren't in trouble, right? I mean, they're the loan deferral, right? It means they tack on payments to the end of the mortgage. So they don't have to catch up at once. The mortgage is still current. These guys are not in trouble. The people that are in trouble are the people that probably didn't know that they had equity in their home and didn't sell. This is about 15.9% of the people that are actually in trouble. They don't have no loss mitigation plan. They're probably headed toward the short sale. So it sounds like, I mean, if we calculate that 15, that's 1 in 7. It's probably like 900,000 homes that I'm thinking are actually going to hit the market and be sold, which is a big boost to the market. So I think it's going to balance out. I don't think.
So at most, according to that. Okay. So here's the thing too. All right. I mean, me personally, I think it's fair to think that out of 2.6 million people, that there's probably I'd say at least half are probably, like, because I mean, think about this. You're probably people that were tripping up and had issues that got out of them. Some of those people that are in that 50% positive might have issues. And then you're gonna have people that are in trouble now and that are trying to work through it, that are the other half, according to KCM, that are gonna work their way through it. So, or may not work their way through it. You know, so like, I mean, to me, like, I think that the forbearance by itself obviously is a signal of a potential inventory, a piece of home, a supply chain item that's coming. Now, if 50% of those come to the market, it's 1.3. So I'm believing that probably half are going to see their way to the market. Now, it's not going to be overnight. And again, 1 million of them, all right? So almost 35, 40% ish of all the forbearances in the next 60 days are coming in. Now listen to this. According to Black Knight is saying there are 3.5 million homeowners that are in an over 30-day delinquency. Okay, so that is on top of the former. Now listen to this. Out of 3.5 million homeowners that are on a 30-day plus delinquency, 2.2 million homeowners are considered seriously delinquent. Now that is a game changer number as well, because 2.2 million people that are in a 90 plus day delinquency. This is now a situation where you have someone who is not making the minimum payment. You got a rolling late. You got the damage to your credit. You know, the forbearance kind of lends itself to someone who's tried to insulate themselves from doing damage to their ability to do business in the marketplace from their credit standpoint, right? When you start to have people actually start rolling into legitimate delinquency, that really becomes a pattern where you really might have yourself a foreclosure on your hands, especially when you're talking 90 days late.
Yeah.
So,
that's big.
so I mean, you know, if you've got 3.5 million homes that are in a delinquency, 2.2, let's say that just half the seriously delinquent, that's another million homes. Okay. So, I mean, somewhere in the middle, like, I don't understand how you don't see at least 1.5 million homes that then find their way into the marketplace. Okay. And I want to kind of shed light on this too. When you're starting to think about how the economy works, you got to understand, as we've grown the marketplace, we've been seeing all the data that lumber supply has been going up, labor materials, nails, everything else going up, but so has home prices, right?
Right.
So the builders haven't stopped. So at the same time, now here's the deal. My spidey senses tell me that we are going to see a significant roll up, and Josue will disagree with me. I want to hear that. My spidey senses tell me that between the fourth quarter of this year and the first quarter of next year, you are going to see a significantly different market than now. The feel is going to be different. The sensation of the tension in the market, the buyer aggressiveness, the run up in price, the whole bit, going to be different. Okay. And there's other data that really is important for you to put on all these tea leaves that we're trying to flip over. Number one, their builders are still able to build because the prices are overcoming the cost of increasing supply. You have inflationary supply, but the builder is going to make money anyways. They can still keep a margin because prices go up so fast. And according to Builders Association, builders are going to push 800,000 to 900,000 homes into the market this year. Okay, so they're going to take care of almost 1 million homes, which, as they're running hard into the end of this year, you have an option, you have a possibility of a lot of converging supply at the same time, which will have an impact on prices. Then, listen to this. This is interesting. Something that you should check out, and I'm going to put this on the actual finished edited video that we're building here, is something that the New York Times printed out that The Economist actually brought up, which is called the rent and home price divergence. So we've actually hit rent and home price divergence across most of the areas. Now let me hear what this is. Economists expect rents and home prices to move together in a given community. That's because both respond to the same underlying conditions. Okay, now let me give you an explanation of what that is. That means this: home prices are going up, rents are going up. Okay, home prices are climbing, rents are climbing. Well, what happened in the past 4 months is what The Economist calls rent divergence. Sounds medical. Like, if you don't wear a mask, you could suffer rent divergence.
Take some pills for that.
Listen to this. So in the last 3 months, we have rent divergence in a lot of metro areas. Okay, I didn't see Orlando. Orlando's not graphed. I'd love to see what Orlando's doing. But here's what rental divergence is. Home prices are going, and then rents go like that. What that will do, what does that do to the renters? Are they more interested in you got to remember how home buying it happens. Home buying is based on payments. People buy homes on payments, not prices. Only cash buyers buy homes on prices. And even those guys are throwing big numbers out. We're buying homes on payments. So whenever you have the idea that homes are now reaching out harder, price-wise they're reaching and they're redlining harder and rents are going cold, then you have opt-out of home ownership, right? This is something we haven't seen in years. Did we have an opt-out of home ownership, sir, under Trump?
An opt-out? No, definitely not.
It got stronger.
Yeah, big
so
time.
Obama was like soft, and then Trump got in there. Whatever reason, I can't claim to know the back-end economic effect. Probably had nothing to do with Trump. It just has to do with the timing and the situation. But here we are. We have rent divergence. So now you have people who are basically going to be So what does that do to the market, Josue? If you have people who are more comfortable with buying on payment and rents drop, mortgages go up. Because also, are interest rates climbing right now? Or are they going down?
They're definitely going up. They're finally over 3%, which is they haven't been there since July of last year.
3%?
Yeah.
That's almost like in the 80s when they were like at 18. This is getting insane.
People are spoiled.
It's getting bad. It's getting really bad.
Yeah.
So here's the bottom line. You have rents are dropping, interest rates are going up, home prices are going up. You're going to have a slice of the market that's not there. Anytime you have less demand from the market, it stabilizes price. Okay. So, my friend, do you think, are we in trouble? Like, is the housing market going to hit that barrier?
Yeah, I definitely don't think so. And the reason is because of the past. So when the interest rate, and I have a timeline here of the interest rates and how they've gone up and down through the last 5 years, the interest rates were at close to 5 in the middle of 2018. Did we see a dip there? They were close to 5, right? We're at 3 right now, close to 5. The real estate values have continued to climb like consistently throughout all this time. But if you look at this graph, and you can go on FreddieMac.com, you see the timeline that I'm looking at, but they fluctuated, gone up and down, but consistently. So what I'm trying to say is that they're not a 1-to-1 ratio. When interest rates go up, then home ownership comes down. I don't think that's the case. Or when interest rates go up, real estate values come down. I don't think historically that's been the case. And also, most people are homeowners right now. Most adults are. I think it's like 65% home ownership rate right now. So I mean, it's a small piece of the pie of people that are considering either renting or owning. A lot of them have tried to, buy a house because of the interest rates, but I don't know. I don't think it's that much of a reason to be scared. I think we're way lower than the historic average, which is 8%. Since we started recording interest rates, it's been 8%. We are far below the average, the historical average. So, I mean, we're just going to get back to normal, and I think that's all that's going to do.
So you don't think there's going to be a tension between the savings of renting yet anytime soon?
I mean, no, since we're so low. I mean, we're talking about it. We're at an abnormal state in the market. So to get a little bit closer to normal isn't going to.
I tend to be more. I tend to be more pessimistic on the fact that I've seen a huge default economy, and I feel the similar sense of the years past. Where you look around and you go, what is going on? Like, where's the ride end? And so the interesting thing, that is working against the market is while this economist is pointing out that we don't have a ton of supply because of the pandemic and unsafe sensation of putting my house and showing it and all that, it is true. The story is that home ownership tenure is climbing.
Right, big time. Yeah. Since the crash, it's an amazing, and this kind of contributes towards the housing inventory shortage. So we've been recording the tenure, which is how long people stay in their homes, right? Before they sell it, move somewhere else, right? The average is 6 years. So people move every 6 years. After the crash, it went crazy high, right? It went all the way up to 9 years. 2014, it was 10 years, the average time people spent in their homes. So it's crazy, and it's kind of contributed.
12, 13 now.
Sellers don't want to sell, right? I mean, sellers don't want to sell. Buyers want to buy.
Put the pool in.
Stay where you're crazy. Yeah, they want to stay in this home long term.
I don't know, man. I think a lot of the tenure growth in the last year is because I think the absence of supply has helped it. Like I just feel like I talk to so many people that say, like, I just don't see anything else. I'm staying where I'm at. I don't see anything else. I don't see anything else.
That's true.
I mean, you say this a lot,
Yeah.
And so that's why the push to like say, hey, why don't you build your own thing, right? Like, well, why don't you help you build your dream home from scratch? Like,
right.
And so that's a really cool thing that's kind of built out that market is that there's custom opportunity. But like, the other thing that I'm watching too, and I think it's going to happen this year, and I think everybody, if you're in real estate, pay attention to this, is I remember, and this, is that in real estate, buyers and sellers suffer from something called groupthink, right? Like there's this thing that happens where if MSNBC or CNBC or some other outlet says something, or there's an article printed, they then say to themselves something, and then they're standing near someone at the grocery aisle that they say something to themselves about how the economy is, and then they all act the same way, right? Like we wish, like, why do you guys all want to buy at the exact same time? And, you all want to sell at the exact same time. It's like this idea of groupthink. So, but groupthink is dangerous when you think about the fact that what happens, okay, hear me on this. 1 million forbearances are coming to the market in 2 months. Okay, or 4 million forbearances in absence of the Wizard of Oz, the boss of the basement, Joe Biden, steps in and helps us all out. In the absence of him stepping in, because he's the great wild card, is if he wakes up one day and remembers he's got some power to invoke on this country, he actually can. So he's throwing a lot of money at potentially preventing defaults. Okay, so the government's involvement, it's not just Biden. It would be a Trump. It would be an anybody with their use of HUD to prevent things. That can be a game changer. But you got a million forbearances coming due in the next 2 months. You've got, as we said, 2.2 million homes that are seriously delinquent across the U.S. If half of all the forbearance and delinquencies that are just the serious delinquent, you've got more than a year of turnover, more of static supply. It's not a year of turnover. You've got a lot of inventory that can show up. At the same time, everybody's finished their vaccinations, okay? They got that liquid jab, that courage injection in the arm, and they're feeling comfortable, hopefully. I mean, I don't even know if that can happen because I don't think everybody feels inoculated after they get a shot. They're like, I used to still wear a mask. Again, I'm not getting political. I'm not really not. I'm not. I'm just saying, like, will that make a difference when there's so much uncertainty in the medical market of things that we're learning about? And then, you think about the fact that you've got, the whole marketplace will then start to sense something's changing. And groupthink is affected when the winds of change are experienced across the marketplace. Yeah. So here's the thing. Here's the last headline I want to talk about as it relates to this whole market changing. And I want you, because Josue is big on this. This is the common thread of all real estate panel discussions on the internet, social media, these massive forums of 150,000 agents when they say, you guys sense the market? It feels like 2006, whatever. Yeah. And so here's what happens. Without fail, the big lengthy components of that discussion go towards home equity. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Home equity. Home equity. It can be a bubble because you get so much equity.
Right. Yeah.
That's not gonna, So I'm of the belief that equity is a phenomenon, right? It's buoyed. It's buoyed like the tide, right? And so, is that even a factual? Buoyed by the? It's like it's buoyed. It could go up. It could go down. It's an idea based on market value, right? That's affected by market economics, and that if you have an increased supply, you have groupthink take over, then your price will follow, and when your price follows, your equity goes poof. So in my mind, right, you feel like the market is safer now, right? You would say, hey, we're going to be safer. Like you can't say that we've got real danger of a crash coming because millions, like even though there's a total of almost 6 million between forbearance and any kind of delinquency, any kind of mortgage delinquency forbearance, 6 million people, and of course a huge percentage of those people will be fine no matter what. But you believe equity's fine. Equity's going to preserve everything.
Yeah, and I think, just to kind of give the measure of things out there, because I don't think a lot of people are aware. They think that a lot of homes are just in danger of being foreclosed on. 40% of all homes are paid free and clear. Bank has nothing to do with it. Zero. Banks can't touch them because they're owned entirely by the owner. Now, 51% have, including those 40% that are owned free and clear, 51% of all homes have majority equity. So over 50% of the value, if they sold it then, would be towards the owner, right? The owner would be able to pull over half of the purchase price out of the home because they don't owe the bank as much.
Right.
And it's just incredible. We definitely didn't have this in 2007, 2006, where people were just refinancing because the market kept going up. Only 2.5% of all loan applications are adjustable rate mortgages. People aren't buying in order to refinance, there's not all this mortgage fraud that there was in 2007. The market is very, very strong. And also, homes are actually, in terms of mortgages are more affordable now than they were in 2006 because salaries have gone up. The average amount the Americans make have gone up. So right now, I think the average salary compared to the average mortgage is only 20% of the buyer's total salary, which is incredible. We were not this way in 2006. I mean, I remember when it was hard to find anybody who made over $10 an hour. You know, and then wages have gone up so tremendously. Interest rates have dropped. You know, it's kind of crazy how affordable it is right now. So because of those reasons, because of equity, because of the affordability, and the other reason I can't remember, I just mentioned, but I think we're safe. I don't think so.
So the interesting thing to know is no one wants to catch a falling knife. You ever heard that idea?
Yeah.
No one wants to catch a falling knife. That's what affects groupthink. So you got a lot of delinquencies, you got a lot of forbearance, and then you're going to have this idea that's going to catch all at once. This is how it works. This is how I saw it in 2006. Is that the idea of no one wants to catch a falling knife. In sellers, a lot of times, even sellers in trouble, a lot of times will not react to the notion that my house could be possibly, you know, changing direction and value, falling.
Right. Yeah.
And so, you know, here's what happens. If we see a run up in inventory, if we see people opting out of the market because rentals are getting cheaper and houses are still really high, and mortgage interest rates are climbing, making the payments even higher, and opting people out. Here's the thing, okay? What's going to happen, and it still is the bottom line, is how much danger do we still have in the marketplace? How many people are still part-time employment when they really need to be full-time? How many people's businesses are shuttered still, where the revenues are down and overcoming the expense loads are still putting pressure on them being able to pay their mortgage, would then opt into a lower cost rental situation? Because here's the big winner next year. And me and you did a video on this, which I think is now on YouTube. You can go out and see the most recent publishing, is that there's a lot of major corporations spending a lot of money on rental companies. So rental companies are the move. Redfin just paid $600 million for a search index for rental property. Why would they go into rentals? Because they can see what's coming next year. If everybody then has to resort themselves out of the house they're in, they say, I can't afford it. Guess what's going to happen first quarter of 2022? I'm going to rent a house. So here's the deal. If you can manage, I'm telling you, if you have a situation where you can put yourself into those of you that own properties in like Davenport, Reunion, all that kind of stuff where you're getting hard hit, you switch to long-term rental opportunity. You know, I'm telling you, I believe the marketplace next year, you have a whole lot of people that could not swing the house payment. Are they going to go into a rental situation long-term? There's going to be a whole lot of demand for rentals, I believe, if the market changes the way we just are describing it to. Yeah. But here's the thing. I mean, we're going to kind of wrap this up with this. Real estate professionals, homeowners, as you are kind of watching the marketplace, you need to keep your eye on delinquencies. You need to keep your eye on forbearance. You need to see what's going on, okay? Because that is the net end result of all this. Yeah. That and the Wizard of Oz, the boss of the basement. If Joe Biden gets back involved pouring money into HUD to stymie the defaults, to stall the forbearances even longer, then we're going to kick the can longer, and it's just going to inflate the housing market. It just takes it longer for us to work through the potential underpinning issues. Yeah. Because in the end of the day, if someone can afford their house, then they're going to be fine, and they're not going to lose it. They're not going to sell it. They're not going to do anything with it. Yeah. But,
and I think that's where we differ. I don't think you're arguing for a crash and I'm arguing for like a takeoff of the market. I think it's just there's going to be a boost in the market for sure. I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. I think it's going to make a minor difference, and then you think it's going to make more of a difference than I do. Yeah. I think that's a major difference in our disagreement here, right?
Yeah, and again, I mean, listen, let's put a bow on this whole thing. Yeah. The markets are going to be way different than they were in the crash of 2008, okay? Yeah. So here's the deal, okay? There will be a difference. Mm-hmm. I believe, as sure as I'm sitting here, that the economy is going to be different in housing by the fourth quarter of this year to the first quarter of 22, in that it's going to feel way different. We're not going to experience the same degree of pressure and all these kinds of things, okay? Because of these issues, okay? Now, here's the overarching point, is that some marketplaces are going to struggle harder than Florida will. Yeah. Okay, there's going to be some marketplaces that are not going to rebound the same way. there's gonna be some marketplaces that it's gonna crush their economy. So, you know, even all the more than there was back in 2008. 2008, everybody got hit pretty bad, okay? Real estate wise. And it was actually 2006 and 7 is when it really started it was evident. It just, you know, it really got bad as Wall Street crumbled out. But the point is, you're gonna see, you know, it's gonna be, and this has been the case in the past 12, 13 years since we got through that time, is that each economy, each marketplace suffers uniquely on their own demographics or their own, you know, their own issues and their own economics, if you will. Economics being a better word. Like, is it positive or is it negative demographics? Are people coming in or are they leaving? Is revenue inbound to your marketplace or is revenue outbound? One of the great tools I constantly love to use is how money walks. You can go and see a company that pulls all the IRS data. And if your county is red right now, that means you can see it. You can see my county is red, more money is leaving my county than is coming into it. Then there's a good chance that later this year, you probably do not want to be living in that marketplace, okay? Just because it's changing. It's just people are leaving now, and it's going to be really, I think it's going to be a little bit softer for home sellers. Sellers have been the king. They've been the king of the castle, man.
Yeah, big time.
If they tell you that they want your car and your kids, that's the only way you get your offer accepted. Like, if they tell you that, you know, they want your, you know, everything in your wallet is how it works right now. And so, with all that being said, appreciate your attention. Join us. We're gonna put this video. We're gonna have it edited in a few days. It'll be up. So if you didn't catch the whole thing, you were interested in seeing some of the early reports we brought out, we'll definitely share that with you. But thanks everybody for checking in. We'll talk to you real soon.
Yeah.
Buying or selling a home in Central Florida is expensive. The Jones Group leverages the latest technology and passes the savings on to you. List your home for just 1%. Buying a home, get $7,000 cash rebate before close. Make one call, that's all. Better service, lower fees.